Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today is going to be more like a steamy topic. It's going to be a little bit more intimate. And I do want to give a warning because we're going to be talking about a lot of raunchy things and it can get a little bit dark. So if we're not in the mood for anything like that, you don't want to hear about like essay or anything like that, I suggest you go ahead and click off now and find another video to watch. But if you're down, I was having this conversation with this girl that I know from like online, and she made like this post and it went viral and everyone was like making their different opinions. And basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, but she asked the people, do you consider transactional sex a part of your body count? And most people were in the comments like, of course. And most people meant like, what do you mean transactional? You mean like sex work? And she's like, yeah. And she says she doesn't like count it like in her main like thing, but it's there just for like health purposes and like whatever. And I saw other people commenting some things. So I'm not gonna like just focus on like transactional sex. I'm kind of like bring it around the topic of virginity and how we view body count and how people calculate that versus how other people do and don't. So one thing I found funny is, and I always love playing this game, like whenever I'm talking to a guy and I want to figure out like how deep is he in the Madonna whore complex, I'll play this game and I'll say, would you rather marry a stripper who was a virgin, never been touched, but men have seen her entire body naked, there's pictures of it online, or a woman that she wanted them Arabic ladies who dress from head to toe, and you've never seen her, no man has ever even laid eyes on her, but she had a train ran on her? You gotta marry one. Who you picking? I love playing this game with men. And men, they're fickle and funny, so they try to weasel out of the question, but whenever I did get like a direct straight answer, they always go for the woman that's covered up that looks like that. And I added to it, she got a train ran on her, but there's no pictures, and every nigga that hit is dead, so no one will ever know. The only people that know is you and her. No one will ever know what your wife did. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Versus the stripper, everybody knows what she does, but no one's ever touched her. She's genuinely, for the most part, physically innocent. And they always go for the girl that's covered up, even though they know what she's done. Meaning it has nothing to do with virginity. It has a lot to do with optics and how can I view you? Do you make me feel better about myself? And some of the guys, and one of the things I wanted to add to the ladies' conversation on transactional sex is, what about anal? What about oral? Like especially like when you and I don't know if you guys were like sexual growing up. I feel like if you were sexual when you were too young, you should call the people. But like 18 and up and stuff, like when you were first finding yourself, first doing different things, college, I am bisexual, so I had like mostly my first few sexual experiences were with women. So by the time I got to men, I kind of knew what I was doing, but not really. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I was asking like, well, how do you feel about like because I've heard stories of girls who are like super crazy Christian girls. They grow up in a church, go to church 7 days a week, and they're doing it in the butt so that they can tell themselves they're still virgins. And I just remember thinking, well, what really, because in my personal, not my personal opinion, I don't make the rules here, but what I initially thought when I first heard virginity was you abstain from not just physical sex, but sexual thoughts and sexual fantasies. You just don't go there. You're eunuch. You don't open up that part of yourself. You know what I mean? So like that means no masturbating, no orgasming, anything like that. So that's initially what I thought. Like when I had my purity ring and I was initiated. I'm sorry for like the sirens in the back. I'm gonna go ahead and shut this window for you guys. But yeah, when I first did my purity ring thing that they had us do when I was like in middle school or something, it basically was speaking about abstaining from all sexual behavior, not just kissing boys. So does that count if you kiss a girl? Does that count? Like, if I eat some coochie and I was a virgin yesterday, am I still a virgin today? Now, most men will feel like if it's with another woman, then you're still a virgin because, and I'm just going to go ahead and spoil the plot for you. In my personal opinion, a man's definition of virginity is if someone else has soiled you or not. Are you fresh? Are you not even clean? Like hygiene. Men don't care. You can have AIDS and be a virgin and they'll still want to hit. You can be like born with it. Men are weird. But yeah, it's basically, has someone ruined you yet? Is it going to be fun to break you, or has someone else already thrown you around? That's their definition of virginity. So as long as it's with another woman, they don't see that another man has spoiled you, so they won't count it. You could be the freakiest bitch in the world, but if you only fuck with dykes, he will still consider you low-key a virgin. That's how men think. So they don't, so I say if you, and I remember asking someone else, and I just be having like late night conversations. So I was like, okay, so since you like birds, I just be having conversations with men when I'm bored. So I was asking him like, he's a Gemini, by the way, so it was really fun. If you know, you know. But I was asking him like, okay, so what if you meet a girl, she's everything you want, physically she's your type, mentally she's your type, the type of family she come from, you like her background, and she's a virgin, but she sucked your homie's dick and he nutted on her face and your homie got a picture of her, but she's a virgin. And he said, no, I'm not doing it. So it really has nothing to do with virginity. It has to do with the optics of how other men will respect him with you being on his arm. And does he feel like he's ruining you, whether he is or not? That's really all it's about. Men are low key like predators and gay. And when women say that, they be like, "What? Not all men. Why am I homosexual? Because I want to hang out with my homies." No, bro. Why do you care about the optics of what other men think versus what other women think? The men that care about what women think over everything are seen as simps and tricks. You know? So I just found that really funny how men view virginity, that it really has to do with wanting to ruin you. And I just did a video on cute aggression. And if you check out the comments, there's a lot of people that related to that. That some men see a cute girl or an innocent girl and they just want to defile you. They just want to watch you fall from grace. And taking a woman's virginity is the ultimate way to do that. Now, with that being said, are there some men who genuinely are Christians too, that they're Muslim and this is their thing and they're virgins too? Men can be virgins too. I've met men who have like one on one hand you can count all their bodies. So not all men are like super sexual, not all men are super kinky, not all men are into stuff like that. Most men are actually very vanilla. So I'm not saying like all men like have this on their mind, but at the end of the day, this is what their desires are rooted in. It's a seed, it's subconscious, and as close as they can get to this, the better. So I also did a video called I think I named it "Are Beauty Standards Rooted in Childlike features?" And most people do feel like beauty standards are rooted in pedophilia. And when you say that, people get upset, like, what? All men aren't pedos. But they don't understand that this is a subconscious thing. This is deeply rooted. This is a seed. This is the roots of a tree. You don't see that. All you see is the pretty fruit, and you don't care where it comes from. So that basically means that I'm not saying all men are like on this time 110%, which some are, and you have to be aware for that. But when I say it's rooted, that means it's deeply seated. It's not the end all be all. This is just where it began, and what you see now is what it evolved into. So if a guy is really tall and I only want to date a guy that's over 6 foot, do you think what Kamala Harris said? You think you fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in which of the context of what came before you. I'm quoting Kamala Harris. Go ahead and make sure y'all vote today. But yeah, you really think that you live in a vacuum, girl? Do you really think your desires just fell from nowhere? Do you really think your desires are that special? You can read a book from the 17th century and there's a bitch in there right now who want a tall nigga. So what you really think it just came out of nowhere? Your desires are rooted in men being able to hurt you. And we tell ourselves it's to protect us, but protect us from who? Men. Protect us from who? Women say, I want a strong man to protect you from who? Men. So it's one of those things where it's like people refuse to acknowledge it. And I only bring it up because I want to change it. I want men to love women for being women, not children or the cool girl, the homie. Like, you should love women for women. If you're not, you're probably gay. There's nothing wrong with that. Live your truth. But everybody says they don't want to be a single mother. They want hypergamy. They don't want this. They don't want that. Well, this is how it starts. Everybody thinks that the way the black community is, and this is for like exoticals, so most of you should have some black in you. If you don't, you might not, resonate with this, which is okay. But if you do have some black in you, you don't like the state of the black community. You want it to be better. And race and gender and purity politics and politics in general, shout out to Monica Lewinsky, they're all related together. Capitalism, it's all together. And to dismantle one, you have to dismantle the other. And a lot of men only want power and money for sex. So you can't tell me it's not connected. So I just want to like give my opinion on that. If you are a virgin, ain't nothing wrong with it. Don't let nobody take that away from you. Even if you're celibate, that's beautiful. Don't let nobody take that away from you. And if you're not, you're not celibate, but you sell a bit, if you catch my drift, charge your exotic tax. Do it, because at the end of the day, and I try not to get too much in the because I know the original post that inspired this video, she talked about transactional sex. And if you know anything about my channel, I like to get a little spiritual. So I like to break down, which is still essentially the Madonna whore complex, but we'll get to that in a bit. I like to break it down into Eve's and Lilith's. Eve, she's the good girl, quote unquote, even though she can be bad. But she's the good girl, but where her mission at the end of the day in this lifetime is to live beneath the divine masculine, to lift him up, to lift us all up. So these are the women that want to have babies when they're young, even though y'all think they're stupid. Being a mother is sacred. Being a mother is beautiful. I don't care if you're a baby mama. It's beautiful. You know? What about Mother Mary, the lady that gave birth to Jesus? She just showed up pregnant one day talking about I'm a virgin. You really think niggas believe that? No. But it didn't matter because her baby was sacred. So I don't care if you're a single mother. Don't let anybody shame you out of that. It's beautiful. So, but at the same time, don't let nobody use that against you. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because when it comes to the Lilith side of things, this is more where you choose not to live beneath a man. You choose to reign above him, no matter how uncomfortable it makes him, because that's another way to also lift him up, to let him know that he's beneath you in a way. And there are men that will pay to see dominatrixes. You will think that your nigga's a mean guy, like, oh, my man, he's so strong, he's so tough. And the whole time, he's getting pegged by a sex worker. You didn't even know it. Most of the men that get pegged are big, buff guys. They're not the weak guys that you think like it up the butt that are feminine. No, these are the masculine men who want to get pegged. So sometimes, men, as a woman, you can play the game either way. Don't let nobody put you in a box. Don't let nobody like shame you over like your body count, your sexual history. If you don't have a sexual history, if you're, because I have a girlfriend, she's the same age as me, and she identifies as a virgin, but not a lot of people, men sometimes don't view her that way. And that's because she was assaulted. And most men don't care if there was consent or not. If another man has touched you, you are ruined. And I said at the beginning of this video that my idea of virginity was that you abstain from sex completely, which she does. She's a sweet, innocent girl. She does like cosplays and she dresses up like a princess, and she's a sweet girl. We're the same age. So when people, see her and, she doesn't really talk about it a lot, but I remember we had like an incident where, she was explaining her story. Someone said, well, you're not a virgin then. And it was a guy. And that's literally how they view it. They don't care if you've never consensually even thought about sex. You've never watched porn. You've never masturbated. If another man has been in you, you're ruined. And that's just how they see it. And in one of my last videos, I forget which one it was. I'm pretty sure it was the Color Purple video, the spiritual analysis of the color purple. But I talked about how in Africa they do this thing where there's different ways they do it, but essentially they cut off the clitoris and the labia and they sew up the woman's, vulva so that she can be like a super version. And that's like a thing. And I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people don't like talking about this. And I notice men, I know some men that have daughters, and when they have daughters, it all of a sudden clicks how pure, women are, So sometimes men, they just can't see it that way unless they have a daughter. And sometimes women, if they're more like Eves and they're pick-me's and they want to shame sex workers and shame girls with high body counts and stuff, they can't see it either. They assume all men are pedophiles and predators except for their brothers, husbands, and nephews and uncles. Like, be for real. So some women really just cannot see the world the way it is because they kind of have to live in the fantasy to be able to, like, think about it. If a woman has a lot of sons and her father's been in her life and always took care of her, and her brothers are great men and they treat their wives right, and her husband treats her right, what do you look like telling her all men are predators? You look kind of stupid. So that's why I really don't disrespect the Eve archetype, because she's meant to make the world a better place. She's meant to awaken that in men. But I notice most men, they live double lives. They will be a good guy with their Eve wife and then go do some kinky shit with the Lilith whore, which is not always the case. Sometimes Liliths can, when I think of a Lilith that is in a wifey type of setup, I think of a Sheer 7. She was never really loose with herself. you know? But at the same time, she has Lilith energy. She does not reside beneath a man. Literally, the name Ashera is God's wife, meaning she's above him. Like, you can look it up. So Lilith doesn't always mean you a hoe, and Eve does not always mean that you're a quote unquote good girl or a virgin. Because I know some girls that, they're super pick me's, and they're the type of girl that get passed around and get called bops because they want male approval. These are like super Eves where you do anything for man approval. So you have to look into the archetype yourself and figure out. Me personally, I resonate with Mary Magdalene. This was quote unquote the wife of Jesus. You can look into the story if you want to, but she was known to be a prostitute, but she was also known to be the greatest not prophet. She was one of the disciples of Jesus Christ, and she has her own gospel, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. If you're into stuff like that, I suggest you read it. And Jesus basically said to all his other disciples, who were men, that she is the greatest out of all of them. So she represents the unity of both of these energies. So I really love Mary Magdalene. But yeah, I wasn't trying to get too woo-woo and too deep, you guys, but sexuality is very sacred and very spiritual. So it's hard not to talk about one without bringing up the other. But yeah, I would love to know your opinions on virginity and sex, and is it sacred to you? Do you feel like giving head is losing your virginity or no? I would love to know, how do you count your body count? I would love to know that. So if you have any things you want to add, go ahead and leave it in the comments. If you got to the end of this video, thank you for listening to me yap, and as always, have a beautiful day.